Hello everyone. Pavel, thank you for inviting me to make this course. And let me tell you a little bit how today lesson will happen. Today lessons is more theoretical lesson, despite in the beginning we will create our first audio guide, but the following lessons, other 4 lessons, will be more practical about very specific things on creating audio guides. But today I want to make some introduction to audio guides, what kind of solution for audio tours exists on the market. We'll try to compare it. Then I will explain that there are much more stakeholders that probably you think around this idea of audio tour. Then I'll tell you what is the psychological behavior of listener of audio tour, because it's a big difference between human guide excursion and automated excursion. And as I said, in the end, we will create our first audio guide. So let's start. Let's start with what is audio tours. And of course, when we pronounce audio guides, the first thing which comes in our mind is these hardware devices, which we usually see in museums. And it's really traditional solution for rental audio guides, mostly in museums, but sometimes for city streets, in other type of devices. Next thing is application for museum or city. I guess you know many museums which have their own application, or city which propose their application. And the last thing, which is most modern and probably most powerful, is a platform. Like, you know, many platforms in a modern world, like YouTube, a platform for video, Instagram for photos. There are several platforms for audio tours. izi.TRAVEL one of them, but not the only. There are also VoiceMap, VigoTrip, and many others. Let's talk about most important issues of each solutions. First of all, let's start from these hardware devices. I need to say that in majority of cases, these devices is usually provided as a service by a third-party company to museum. And it brings the content issues. The right on the content is very important thing, because most probably you will want to share your content through different technologies, services, devices, and so on. And in case when you hire some company which provide you holistic audio tour experience, like in museums many years ago, such company usually rent place in your museum, bring devices, create content, own this content, rent out these devices, and pay your royalty. It brings a lot of issue when you come to the idea, oh, I have a content, I want to use it in different ways. No. Mostly in cases of third-party solutions, you will have an issue with that. Next thing is entry barriers. Again, if you invite some company which brings you solution, they will tell, okay, but we are earning on renting out devices. That's why interesting to come only in big museums with big amount of visitors. And if you are a small organization, most probably it will be not available for you. And third thing is amount of content. Again, it is about the conflict of interest. If some company create audio guides, create content for audio guide to rent it out, they will do minimal requirement amount of content. Even if you talk about the huge museum with thousands of exhibits, they will tell you, well, you know, probably 50 exhibits will enough, because people will rent out the device anyway. 50 stories will enough for 2 hours walk. No, we are not interested to invest in content creation, because it will not mean more rentings of our devices. So when modern technologies comes, then many organizations and museums and tourist offices and city organizations decided, okay, we don't need special devices anymore, because the device in the pocket of every visitor, and we can just create an application for it. So let's do it. But there is another issue. In most of the cases, create an application is not a core activity of museum organizations. They are professional in storytelling, in content, in research, but not in the app development, right? That's why it is yeah, not a good idea. Then it is almost always project budgeting. It means that, for example, some organization gets some grants for 3 years. For these 3 years, they are developing an update application, but when project finished, budget finished, they can't to update application anymore. And in case of applications, there is no way just to stop to develop it one time, because you need to update it for new operating system, new user experience, modern technologies, and so on. And if you don't, then in 1 or 2 years, your application will die. But the most important issue with this single application solution is no demand. It is probably your ambitions that you think, oh, I'm a big city, big organization, big museum, and of course every customer wants to have my application. No. For end users, there is a problem. They don't want to have in every single museum and in every single city new applications to install in, to learn user interface, to meet new bugs, and so on. Users don't respect it. Sorry. And just to confirm it, because I know that many people think in this direction that own application is better, let's see on Rijksmuseum, for example, one of the most visited museum of the world. They launched their application about 5 years ago, and this is a page from their Google Play. They have 100 installation in Google for 5 years. Sorry, we have similar numbers for 1 month, and with all this their promotional power to have 100,000 installation for 5 years with millions of visitors, it's not a good result. Or let's see on a city example, Audio Tours of Jerusalem, which created of development of Jerusalem organization, 50,000 of installation, and you see that last updated was in 2019. And I believe it's the result of that project-based approach. It was some grant, it finished, no more updates. That's it. It means that all money was spent on development of this application. You need to split to this only 50,000 of users, and you will understand that it is very expensive cost for one engaged visitor. So, that's why let's come to the platforms, a modern solution of modern world. It may look like silver bullet because you don't need to spend money, resources, you get modern technologies, but in fact it still has several issues. One of them, it is limited customability, because you will get what it is. You can't to ask to change colors, change fonts for your choice. No. What exists is yours. The good thing here is that platforms usually have very powerful tool, and it cover 99% of your needs, but still, if you need customization, it is a weak side of the platform. Next thing is the revenue model. Of course, every such platform wants to earn money, and it means that probably they will insert advertisement into your audio tours, which you don't want, or probably they will restrict you to publish free audio tour. You want to publish it for free to reach wider audience, but they will say, no, we are interested only in selling because it will bring us money. So you always have to pay attention to the monetization model of the platform. And the third thing is variety of such platform. There is not only one platform, there are many of them, and you have to put your content to several of them, most popular ones, not to the only one. And it means that in a moment you need to update your content, you need to make this update in several places. In our case, in case of izi.TRAVEL, I will tell you a little bit later, we are trying to resolve all these issues, but still some of them exist. But of course, all these issues is nothing when you remember about pros of platforms. It is zero development costs. It is no entry barriers. You can create audio tour for very small school museum of your own home yard. It is full content control. You own your content and you can do whatever you want. It is leveraging cross-promotion because platforms promote the application, other participants, other content creators promote their tours, and that's why even if you just publish content and do not promote it, It is a bad idea, but still, you will get customers. They will come to you because of this cross-promotion. It's leveraging platform competition. If there is a competition, it means that you will always have most modern and best technologies in this application, and no risk. You can stop your relationship with any platform any moment and switch to another one. And all in all, it means less costs, better product, and more users. Okay, it was about different types of solution for audio tours. Now I will show it a little bit in details on example of our izi.TRAVEL platform. I'm quite sure every one of you know what is human guide and feel this experience when you walk through the city with some human guide. We've decided to automate it. It doesn't mean just playing stories through smartphone. We're trying to repeat the experience, the guidance, the engagement, communication, probably some plays and so on. So audio tours, it is not only about launching stories on a player, it's much more. And today we will understand what does it mean. Any platform, and ours as well, looks like that, how it works. There is some CMS, content management system, where you create your account, like account in any platform on YouTube or Facebook. Then in this account you can create your audio tour, publish your content, and then this content become available for millions of users of the application who enjoy it when walks through the city. Very important thing how it works on a street, because it's again bring us to the idea of experience. Because in our case, do you see these pins on a map? It is a location of specific tourist attraction, monuments, buildings, theaters, whatever. And this semi-transparent blue area around it, it calls trigger zone. This zone responsible for automatic playing of story. It means you walk with your smartphone through the city, it checks GPS position, and when you enter this trigger zone, it automatically starts playing the story. It means that in nice tour, all you need is just put your headphones, launch a tour, and you can put your smartphone in the pocket. You don't need it anymore. You will go through the city, all story will launch automatically in the right place. After it, there will be navigation stories like turn left, turn right, and you may discover new city for many hours without watching a map at all. And that's what I'm calling experience, guiding experience. It is not about the content, it is about guiding experience, when you can relax and walk through unknown city and don't lose your way. And just to confirm that it is not just brilliant idea, there is a map of our current audio tours. There are more than 60,000 of them already in the world, in more than 100 countries in 70 languages, and every day dozens of new audio tours published on the platform. What is also very important when we talk about automation of the experience, that audio tours could be not only analog of human guide excursion in city streets or museums. With automatization, you can create audio tours for runners, for bicyclists, along highways and railways, with voices of celebrities and even some theatrical plays in the surrounding of real city. You have much more ideas what you can do with this technology. And many of tours which exist on our platform already not like what you can find with a human guide. And now let us switch to another important topic. Who else needs audio tours? Because usually we say, okay, we will create excursion, we are authors, and there is the listeners, and that's it. That's all stakeholders. In fact, it is not. And to understand it, we need to look at the value chain. And in a very simple way, it is only storytellers, museums, tourist offices, zoos, archaeological sites, some scientist societies, and so on, and application and users who listen it. But, in fact, imagine the city which has hundreds of audio tours in different languages for kids and adults with different themes and topics. What does it mean for traveler? that the city is really interesting. It is interesting to visit this city, walk through it, return to it, advise your friends to visit it. And what does it mean? That all these travelers will stay in hotels, they will eat in restaurants, they will use public transportation and so on. And it means that all these travel businesses get benefits of your tours, get benefits that city became more interesting. And it means that they are interested to help you to make your tours more popular. And in fact, when we work with the cities or even regions, we work in this schema when storytellers create a content, but local businesses like hotels, restaurants, tourist offices, they help to promote it, and they do it for free mostly because they understand, okay, if person enjoy my city, he will return, he will spend more money, he will bring his friends and so on. And at the end, I will benefit of it. And then it becomes even more interesting, because if we see this sustainable way, when somebody create content, somebody promote content, many people enjoy it, then funds and sponsors really want to support this idea, because they understand it really works. Many people enjoy it, and they start to help with the money, with resources and so on. And then the end, travelers enjoy the city full of stories, spend more money in these businesses, and respect those sponsors and funds who helped, who made this experience possible. Okay, let's go further. So we have storytellers, we have a platform, we have promoters like destination marketing organization or hotels and restaurants. Let's see on some examples. It's a real photo from one of the hotel and the real poster on the reception desk, like, hey, dear visitors, we have a lot of tours in our city, please install the application and walk through it. Such posters we have in hundreds of hotels and thousands of Airbnb hosts in the world. They do it for free, they really want to promote their city. I just explained why. Or another interesting example, who can leverage of content? Trains. It's a bit strange, but it is Scottish Trains who created audio tours along the railways to attract more passengers. Or, for example, here in Russia, I live in Moscow, we have commercial trains around the Moscow, and they go even further. They created audio tours along railways and also in the cities of destination. So they attract people to travel by trains to explore new cities, and for them it means more sold tickets for trains, and they start to promote this destination in the train. Okay, what are the examples? St. Petersburg, whereas bus operator, regular bus operator, city buses, created stories along bus routes for the city in different languages, and by this they switch normal bus to hop-on, hop-off. You can take a ticket for the normal bus, regular bus, and get hop-on, hop-off experience, listening the stories. And tourist office of St. Petersburg, Visit Petersburg, start to promote it on a website, social media, bus stops, and on the posters on the city. They help with promotion to content provider, this bus operator. Okay, let's return to our value chain. Now we have these players, but this not all, because all this content can be available not only through izi.TRAVEL application, but through many other applications and services like maps, navigators, online travel agencies, voice-based assistant, and many others. Why? Because for them, this free content helps to improve their user experience. Let's see on some example. It's a Maps.me, one of the most popular offline map application with more than 100 million users. You know that last years, map become from the tool of finding address or route to the real exploration tool. And in Maps.me you can find these guided tours because it helps people to discover places around. Or we can export audio tours to modern music streaming and audiobook services like Storytel, Bookmate, Yandex Music, and many others. In fact, we can do RSS feed and you can export your audio tour to any of these systems. Or voice-based assistant. There is Alisa, it's Russian voice assistant created by Yandex, and we teach her to tell stories inside museums. So you can come to any museum and ask Alice, what is this painting? Take a photo, she will recognize it and launch story. Wow, you don't need any audio guide application at all. You just ask your voice assistant, what is this painting? And she go to the database of all the stories, finds the right one, and play it to you. Very convenient. Or car infotainment system. You know, this movement to self-driving cars. What will you do in self-driving cars? Somebody have to entertain you. And the video is not an answer because of this sickness effect. It is not comfortable to watch video when you move. And again, with Yandex, we implementing storytelling to the car multimedia system. And now we negotiate with one big European company who provide solutions, multimedia solutions for Ford, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and others. And I believe in the nearest years, all these cars will tell stories when you ride a car. And just to remind you, it is the same stories which you put to your tour, which you created for taken in mind, okay, somebody will walk with my tour. No, somebody will ride on Mercedes-Benz on the same road and will be able to listen to your story. Or online travel agencies, you know, all this Booking.com and other who allow you book hotel, buy tickets and so on. That's just a real example with one of them who sell human guide excursions and sells audio guides. Okay, now we see on this value chain quite amount of players, and it means that the whole idea that somebody create content and somebody listen it has a lot of stakeholders who benefit of it. And what does it mean? It means for fans and sponsors, again, that they will be much more happy to invest their money not in short-living technology, like to create another application for some city, but in long-living content, because they understand, okay, we invest in content creation, and this content will be available in audio guide application, streaming services, and Mercedes-Benz, in voice-based assistants, in maps, and so on. Why not to support it? It's much more effective spendings of money. And this example of Jewish heritage story and this project is just one of the example of reaction of this on this big and sustainable value chain on distribution content. Okay, I guess that's enough for today about the theory. Let's dive to the very practical steps, how to create audio tour. I guess now you want to do it even more. But before do it, let's talk about the listener behavior. Because as I already mentioned, there is a difference between how you listen real human guide and how you listen audio guide. And let's try to remember, when you walk with a human guide, what you usually do? You walk with a group along some street, reach some destination, a monument or building, then turn around, stay around this human guide, and then he start for 5 or 10 minutes tell you some story. In audio guide, it happens absolutely opposite. Listeners listens it while walk. Why? Because when I in my headphones on the city streets alone, it's very uncomfortable to me just to stay near the monument and do nothing. I understand, okay, people around moving, cars driving, something happened and I stay. It's uncomfortable, really, because what these people will think about me. And that's why it is better if I walk and listen. And in audio guides, it is better to start. Do you see that yellow building 100 meters ahead? It's some manner, let's talk about it. And while you walk to it, you listen a story. When you reach this building, story should almost finish. Probably you have to pay attention to some architectural details, which you can see from the short distance. And they say, okay, and now let's turn left and go down the street. something like that. So this is one difference. Another difference is ability to keep focus of the listener. If you real person talk to real person, you can keep attention quite a long time, because you can ask something, you can dance, sing song, and many other things. So a real human guy may keep your attention for minutes. But when you listen anything, doesn't matter what, probably radio, song, usually you start to focus, lose your focus in 1 minute, because there is cars around, people, noises, SMS, chats, calls, many stuff. After 1 minute, your listener will lose focus on your story. It means that you have to try to make your stories quite short. Then you can start another story about another object, and it will restart the focus of the listener, or some other approaches, which I'll tell you a little bit later. Third thing, your listener gets nervous of any uncertainty. Because when you are with a human guide, you understand where you go, what will be the next. In any situation, you count on your guide and you are relaxed. But imagine you walk without your guide. Your story is finished and nothing starts playing after. You start to think, what's going on? Is it because I did something wrong? Probably I lost my way. Probably I lost my internet connection. Oh, this stupid application is broken. When the next story will be start, you start nervous. You don't know what's going on. And it's you need to take it into account always. That's why managing expectation is very important part of audio guide, and I will show it a little bit later today how to do it. Next thing, it is obvious, but unfortunately many authors forget about it, that the listener doesn't see your finger. So when in human real world oh, look at this, look here, look there. Sorry, listener don't see your finger. That's why you need to manage his seeing, his eyes, and very accurate to see where to watch and to what to pay attention. And next thing, again, it's not like with a human guide. When you follow him with audio guide, listener will follow his own plans, not yours. Probably you created very nice tour with very nice order and so on. No, listener will start your tour from the middle, will go not to the end but to the beginning. Probably he will drop it after third story because he need to some shop and so on. And it's not a problem. It's okay. But you need to remember that it is not always like you planned. And that's why your stories should be as universal as possible. You have to take into account that probably the listener will listen only 1 or 2 or 3 stories and in the wrong order. And from this point of view, they should be quite universal to anyway provide him good experience. I will show it again a little bit later. Now, when we know all these theoretical things, let's be a little bit practical. So we've decided to launch our first audio tour. What have we do? First of all, we need to understand the theme, what we will tell about. Probably it will be about some person, probably about some places or events or whatever. You need to select this theme because it is much better when all your stories joined by some common context. Then you need to make a selection of attractions, of stories, places which you want to tell about. Then you need to create a tour line, optimal route to visit all these places. And then again, you need to create a navigation to guide person through this tour. And now a little bit more again, why navigation is so important. Again, one of the significant part of human guide experience when you walk with a guide is guiding you. It's even called human guide, not human teller, not storyteller, but guide, because he guides you in optimal way to the right places, to the best viewpoints and so on. And you need to repeat it in your tour and have to think not only about the stories, the content, but how you will guide him. And that's a real example of one tour in Budapest. And you see this compass sign on a map. All this compass sign is a navigation story. And you see that on the left before the cathedral, this story show, okay, there is a cathedral behind you, I will tell you a story about it, but if you want to walk, go on the left side of this cathedral, and by the way, you can purchase some specific ice cream in a shop near it, because it is you can buy it only in this place. Okay, I managed, I understand. If I want to stay, I will stay, but if I want to go forward, I will go left side of the cathedral. And then I say, okay, there is a crossroad, please cross it on the cross light and go to another street. Then it's on left, it's on right, you see how many the things. But that's not all, because after each story, these stories which called geo-navigation stories, they put it to the map and launch in the very specific place. But after every story, we can make another navigation story which will tell you, okay, please continue, follow this street, or turn left after this building and go to the fountain. So we have two types of navigations. One linked to the geolocation, and another will be played after the main story, where to go next. And if you see on the left part of the screen, you see these compass signs. There are even more these compass signs than the real stories with numbers. So it's quite big part of the tour creation. And if you will try during this course to create your first tour, we are really ready to help you with creation of this navigation. It is a bit difficult for a first time, but in fact it's very easy when you understand how it works. Next important thing called timing. Timing, it's a link between duration of your story and the distance between different tourist attractions. Imagine you go from one attraction to another attraction and you want to tell your story, as I said, while listener walk. It means that if the distance is 100 meters, you have 1.5 minutes to tell your story. If your story is longer, it means it will be not finished when you reach next destination, and probably listener will skip your story. And opposite, like in this schema, you see the spin with 2. It is a long street, 800 meters length. It is 10 minutes to walk it. And if you have very short story, okay, 1 minute or 2 minutes of story, it means next 8 minutes listener will go in silence. And it is very uncomfortable. Believe me, he will forget about your tour, he will switch to social network, to Facebook, or to call something and forget about your tour. You will lose him. So please don't forget about it, and always compare the duration of your stories and distance between them. They should be aligned. It doesn't mean that you should tell without pauses. No, pauses are okay, but they not should be very long. Now, several advices how to engage listener, very practical. As we already said, start with orientation in a space. Imagine you want to tell about this building and you have some tour. But as I said before, you know nothing about where your listener go. Probably he goes in the same direction like you planned, but probably he goes in opposite direction. Probably before this story he just come to some shop and cafe and forgot where he came, where he goes. That's why it is better to start every story with something like this.
Do you see the yellow building with the 6-column portico on the even-numbered side of the street? This is the House of Actors.
You see? Do you see the yellow building with white columns on the even side of the street? Pay attention, we didn't say on the left side of the street or on the right side of the street, because you never know where is the left for your listener. Your left and his left, probably absolutely different left. That's why it is better to use some more universal thing. Okay, Then about guidance and pointing. Guidance is navigation, and pointing, imagine you want to tell a story about some architectural element. Don't forget to say, do you see the dark window on the top floor on the right side of that red building? In this flat, somebody was burned, for example. And example of such navigation story, I will play it now. Imagine you walk through the city and you want to invite person to enter to the park to come to some monument.
On your left, you will find Wertheim Park. Walk into Wertheim Park. You will find here the Auschwitz Monument.
Okay, you explain. Here it was used on your left, which I just mentioned probably is not the best way, but okay. Next thing is about keep timing. As I mentioned, there is a big and important thing comparing the distance and duration. And just a couple of examples. Imagine you come to the city center, to some square in the city center, and you want to tell 5 stories about objects around. You understand that these 5 stories will take 10 or 15 minutes to tell. It means that to manage expectation, you have to tell, just explicitly tell in audio tour, you know, now I want to tell you several stories about objects on this square. You may sit on a cafe, take a coffee, and when I finish, I invite you to continue your route. And listener understand, okay, next 10 minutes I'll be busy, probably I will go sit in cafe, probably sit somewhere on a chair, doesn't matter. I understand what to expect. Next 15 minutes I will not go anywhere. Or opposite, like with the story with the long street, when you need to go another, 500 meters in a silence. You need to tell it explicitly, like, next 500 meters, continue walk this street another 500 meters, and when you reach crossroad, I will tell you another story. Again, I understand 500 meters or 7 minutes, I will go in a silence, and next story will be near the crossroad. So, I will not nervous why it doesn't play. That's really important things. You need to explicitly pronounce it in your stories. Then about switching focus. As I mentioned, you have about 1 minute of maximum concentration and then listener will start using. But sometimes you need to tell much more. So what you can do? You can use some tricks. For example, this is a story about some church in Moscow. It's a long one. And I will play you just small part in the middle of the story. Please pay attention what will happen.
Fyodor's wooden church was then rebuilt in stone in the 18th century.
A century later, the father and son architects, the Kazakovs, took the entire convent down and rebuilt it in the pseudo-Gothic style.
You see what happened? It was a man voice in the beginning and a woman voice in the end. Probably in this small piece of audio, it is not so important. But when you listen for a long time, for 1 minute, one voice, and then voice changed, you refresh your focus. Oh, something new. And your focus again start to be higher. It's really simple tool, but it really works when you need to tell long story. It could be some sounds, and the last advice to use some sounds effect, work with sound. It could be music. It could be some special effects, like if you talk about a war, it could be some screaming or gun shooting or whatever. It really engage person. It's like in cinema. Audio guide, by the way, it is not just a playing story. It could be really AR experience in surrounding work. So sometimes it is really dramatical from sound point of view experience. Really nice one. Okay, let's continue. Let's create our first tour, real tour in a real CMS. The only screen I want to show before we start is a typical screen of our CMS. In other systems, there are some similar CMSs when you can put images, story title, story text, audio, video, quizzes, different languages, and so on. Now let me show how to do it in reality. I've prepared several stories. Honestly, I took it from some existing audio guide. But imagine you've decided to register in izi.TRAVEL. So let's do it from the scratch. Jewish Heritage. Jewish Heritage Network. Category. Doesn't matter, okay. Let it be museum, country, Netherlands, city Amsterdam. We do real registration. Okay, I agree with license. Okay, this is my account, CMS, and here I can click create to create my first city tour. Okay, let it be a Jewish quarter in Amsterdam. Walking tour in English. Okay. And what I see the page of the description for my tour. As I said, I preliminary prepared some materials. So I will copy the description of this tour from my document and enter it here. Then I can add the audio file. Okay. It is convenient if you prepare all your materials in advance in several like text and Word, audio, and some other audio editors, and then just upload it at once. Okay, I uploaded this audio, and then I will save, upload image. For my tour, the title image, I can upload up to 20 images, and I can align the part of image which I want to show. So I can crop it. Let it be like that. And then let's start the tour. Our tour will start from Waterloo Square in Amsterdam. If I don't know where is it, I can type it. Waterloo Plein, Amsterdam. Okay, here it is. I can take pin, put it here, and again take pre-prepared content. Let's spend this 5 minutes to show you that it is not so difficult. Okay, I created my first story. This is trigger zone, which I can change, but by default it is circle, but I can remove it and create any other form of trigger zone. And as this is a square, I will create trigger zone for the square. It means doesn't matter from each side traveler will come to the square. When he enter it, the story will be played. So trigger zones cover the area where this audio story is relevant. It is very important to understand that. Probably you have to cover wider area than you think from the scratch, because probably story will be relevant not on your route, but somewhere aside. Put trigger zones there as well. And also remember about the accuracy of GPS, like 30 meters, so make it better. Don't worry if you put it on the buildings. It's not a problem. Okay, save it. Now I can open the story. Again, repeat the same to enter text. To upload audio, Waterloo Square, save it, upload audio, upload image. Done. Next story is post navigation. As I said, after every story we can add navigation where to go next, and to do this I just select this area and click on this compass plus sign, and navigation story for Waterloo Square created. I just add the description, choose audio file, post navigation for Waterloo. It is not required to add image here because it will be played and doesn't matter. Image here is not so important, but you can add it. Then return to the tour. Next point will be Jude's Historic Museum. It is here, Jude Historic Museum. I can click on it. Again, add name. And let's this time do all stories first. Then it will be Portuguese Synagogue. Opposite this building, Portuguese Synagogue. Okay. Then I decide, okay, for Portuguese Synagogue, I want to make, because it is visible from many places and it is quite big, I will increase my trigger zone. Okay, save it. And then next point is Auschwitz monument in a park. It is here. Okay, and okay, let it be same trigger zone by default. And then I want to add tour line, how I will advise my listener to follow this route. Like this. I just draw it. Yeah, I can always edit it. If I don't like, I can change it, move some points, and so on. Save it. And of course, to help me find better places, I can switch on to satellite mode. Sometimes you can find more details on satellite mode. You also can check with street view mode. For example, you want to check, will it be visible, this monument, from the road? Okay, I go to satellite mode and I zoom it in and I see, yeah, the piece of this monument is visible from the corner. Okay, so I can tell story started here. And then let's add stories which we just skipped. Okay, for museum. Okay, audio. Save it, image. And here I can upload 2 images, just for example, to show that it is possible. Okay, and then let's add story to Auschwitz monument. Be finishing soon. If we want to add more languages, we just click add language and upload same content on another language. So your tour could be multilingual. Okay. And the last in Portuguese synagogue. Let's take it. Okay, audio. And photo. And the last thing, which I repeated many times today, that navigation is a really important thing. Let's put some navigation story here, that we need to go to the park. Let's call this story walk to the park on your left, and take a and upload a text and audio. That's it. Our first tour, consists of 4 points created, and now we can check it on your smartphone. It's a kind of magic. You can take your smartphone now and put on this QR code. If you do it, this tour will be open on your smartphone. It will be not visible for everyone now because it is in limited publication mode, but if you scan it, it will be open on your smartphone. And please, I will wait another several seconds to allow you to do this. And then I can also check it on a website. So when you create in our platform audio guide, it is created on mobile version and in a web version, mobile web and desktop web. So if you see, this is our audio guide. We can open any story, play it, listen the story, read the text. Everything is ready. And if I change size of my window, you see it switched to mobile format of the site. So your audio guide is ready. So we spent 5 minutes. We've created first audio guide. You can check it on your smartphone. It is already available on the web. You can put it as a widget on your website, and so on. So that's the end of today's presentation. And then my advice to try to create your first audio guide in your home city where you live, probably near your place of your living, to walk through this place. And another advice, try to walk with existing tours in your city. I'm quite sure that in your city there are many of audio guides already exist. They could be good, they could be not good, they could be different. Just check it, try walk with them, and they try to create your own. And I'm always here to help you during the course. I'm ready to assist you with any questions and so on. So let's do it. Thank you.